I raised an eyebrow at him. Am I right or am I right? You're wrong, he spoke, earning a glare from me. Not all guys think like that, Jenna. Some actually care. I care. I love you with my entire heart, and if anything were to ever happen to you, I don't think I could live any longer. I would kill myself, Jen, and you know why? I stared deeply into Luke's eyes, trying hard not to cry. I will kill myself because a world without you is the kind of world I don't want to be in. He slowly leaned in, and I closed my eyes, joining our lips. Luke grabbed the side of my face while he poured out all his emotions into one single kiss. Passion, lust, and love all in one. I could practically taste the urgency of him trying to get me to understand that he truly does care and love me. He's not any kind of guy. He's my guy. And he was proving it as our tongues stroked each other gently and softly. All too soon, we pulled away and rested our foreheads together. I love you, Jenna, he whispered out of breath. I love you, Luke, I breathed out. I hadn't even realized when the sudden change of atmosphere occurred. In just a second, Luke had me sprawled on the bed and confused. Lou. I was cut off by Luke hovering over me and crashing his lips against mine. He pulled away and quickly spoke, "Shh," before silencing me again. My hands immediately wrapped around his neck, bringing him closer. I tugged on the ends of his hair, earning a groan to escape past his lips, causing my lips to vibrate through the kiss. Luke carefully pulled off my shirt and tossed it to the side as I started to have doubts. Luke, I tried to speak normally. He mumbled as he moved his mouth towards my exposed neck. I was cut off when a sharp pain was felt on my neck. I gasped in shock and pushed Luke off. Luke fell onto the floor, and I tried to not laugh. You pushed him too hard, Crystal giggled. Not my fault, I laughed. Luke, I thought you were going to tell me when you would bite me, I pouted. Sorry, babe. Forgot to warn you, he whined as he stayed still on the floor. I'm not sure whether or not to be mad at you right now. This was not how I expected to get marked, I spoke. So you regret it? Luke asked sadly as he scurried off the floor in a second and stood up to be in front of me. No, that's not what. You hesitated, he cut off. What? I asked with furrowed eyebrows. You hesitated. That means you're not being honest, he spoke with slight anger. Now's my turn to ask. Am I not good enough? I know I've been a jerk and a dumbass, but can you not forgive me? By now his eyes were pitch black. I jumped off the bed and backed away as he growled. His fangs started to elongate, and I could feel myself becoming tired from the bite. When he bit me, blood oozed, and I hadn't cleaned it up yet. Luke, calm down. Of course you're good enough. I love you, silly, I spoke with a trembling voice as I raised both my hands in surrender. Then why did you hesitate? He asked as he stepped closer to me. Why are you so hung up on that? I hesitated, not cheated on you or something. I yelled, frustrated with him. He seemed to hate the idea of cheating, since he growled loudly. You're mine. He released a feral growl and snatched me close to him before smashing his lips on mine. It took me a minute to realize what was happening before I returned the kiss. After a few minutes of heavily making out, he pulled away and his eyes had finally lightened back into its normal color. Your neck, he whispered as he pushed away my hair to the side where my neck wasn't bleeding. Yeah, it's all right. We just have to clean it up, I spoke tiredly. Come on. I followed Luke as he walked over to my bathroom. He opened the medicine cabinet and pulled out a first aid kit. I have to wash it first, he mumbled to himself. I stayed silent all throughout as he cleaned the bite mark and rubbed on some numbing cream. There, it shouldn't hurt as bad anymore. He softly placed a kiss on my right cheek before carrying me back to my bed, seeing as how I was getting sleepier by the second. Carefully, he placed me on the bed before taking off his shirt and slipping it on me. He was about to leave when I grabbed his hand. Where are you going? I asked. I have to finish the preparations for Trey's. He trailed off. Oh, okay, I muttered quietly before snuggling into my pillow. I love you, Jen. I love you too, Luke. I yawned and closed my eyes. I heard a door close and let myself be drifted away into peace before having to wake up for Trey's funeral. Blake's Cove. I sat on my bed contemplating the purpose of Jenna's accident. I am going to figure out the culprit of what happened to Jenna. Sure, it was all right now, but I'm determined to put justice on this case. I try to think of anyone, but all I come up with are hunters. those damn hunters. My hands clenched up in fists as the very thought of someone harming Jen. I rack through my brain, trying to figure out what exactly happened during the whole accident, but all that it causes is a massive headache. With a sigh of frustration and anger, I decide to lay down on the bed. I can't believe that I almost left this place. Sure, I love my territory, but it gets boring after living there for a long time with no social interaction besides your friends. My eyelids begin to droop, and I allow myself to be whisked away into a dream. Or should I have said nightmare? Dream, nightmare. I was worried that Jenna would throw up again, so I pressed the gas pedal harder. I know it's not right, especially with a pregnant woman in the car, but I had to get Jenna somewhere safe. I have the feeling of something bad, and I can't exactly point it out. At some point, I had zoned out because when I broke out of trance, a large truck was driving straight towards us. The problem was, though, that the person driving it was familiar. I squinted my eyes, and they widened as I tried to drive away. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the person driving the truck was the very own Carolyn Sweets. I spinned the driving wheel, but lost complete control. Before I knew it, I was driving straight into a huge tree. I was about to grab Jenna, but I was yanked out of the car and thrown to the floor. I looked up and saw a hunter. Shit! They had come back for revenge, and Jenna was still in the vehicle. Jenna? I yelled loudly and ran straight to the car. It was too late, though. The car was rammed into the tree, and it immediately started to smoke up, a signal of a fire catching. Just as I got close to the car, I was punched in the back of my head and shot with an arrow before falling unconscious to the floor. Last thing I remember doing was mind-linking the guys to help. Dream nightmare over. I jolted awake and ran my hands through my sweaty hair trying to figure out what I just dreamt. Your memory, dumbass, my wolf snapped. I ignored him and thought of why Carolyn was in my dream nightmare. Because she wants to eliminate Jenna to get to Luke, retard, my wolf spoke up. Shut up, I growled annoyed, and quickly got out of bed. I have to research how Carolyn got into helping the hunters and where she is now. You better run, bitch, because there isn't anyone coming to save your ass, I mutter angrily under my breath before slipping on a pair of pants and dashing out my room. Jenna's povee. I laid on the bed staring at the white roof, pondering how my life will be from this point on. Well, today is Trey's funeral, and you could do something to remember him by, Crystal suggested. Like what? I asked curiously. That is up to you, she spoke before blocking me out, but I didn't care because in that moment I knew what I wanted to do. Jenna! I jumped in surprise as Luke waved a hand in front of my face. Yeah? I stuttered. What's wrong, Jen? Are you tired? Is it the baby? Is it because of Trey? Luke rambled on, and I placed a hand on his mouth before giggling softly. No, I'm fine. A look of relief flooded through his face, and then he asked, Then why didn't you answer when I called your name? I was thinking, I said honestly. Oh. His eyes fell downcast, but he knew to not push it. After a few minutes of silence, he spoke up, breaking the ice between us. Trey's funeral is in an hour, and I wanted to wake you up so you could get ready, he smiled sadly. I nodded stiffly before plastering a fake smile on and getting out of bed. Okay. Can you please leave so I can get dressed and prepared? I asked quietly. Luke placed a soft kiss on my lips before leaving the room. The second he left, I walked over to the closet and searched through my clothes. I was at the point on giving up when I saw a dress that I wanted to wear. I stared at it longingly, and soon memories started to flow through me. Quote, flashback. Trey, what should I wear? I groaned as I laid on my bed in defeat. Blake had wanted us to go out to the park, and I wanted to impress him since I had a crush on him. Jenna, I love you, but please just choose something, Trey whined. I rolled my eyes at his behavior. Find something that will fit me good without showing my fat, I pleaded. What fat? You lost it all last year, Trey argued. Okay, but I'm still pudgy. In a second, Trey had me up and in a strong, firm hold. Jenna, stop trying to point out stupid things. You are perfect, okay? Blake would be stupid enough to let you go away from him. I love you, Jenna, and believe me when I say that you have always been beautiful from inside and outside. My eyes had closed, trying to contain my hidden tears, and silently, Trey kisses my forehead before spinning into the closet and coming back out with a white dress. My eyes widened and I let out a gasp. Where did you get this? I swear I don't own this. I smiled while gazing at the gorgeous flowy dress in Trey's hands. I might have went out to the mall and bought this for you. He blushed. I love you, Trey. You're the best brother ever. I grinned widely before hugging him tightly. I love you too, Jen. Trey chuckled before pulling away and handing me the dress. Wear it? I nodded my head happily and ran into the bathroom to change. I stared at the mirror and smiled once again at how the dress fit me. The top was tight, and the moment it touched my hips, it flowed. The straps zigzagged on my back, and I had never felt this awesome. For once in my life, I was beautiful, from not only the inside but outside. I slipped on some white flats and decided to wear my hair up in a high ponytail with a few loose strands. I applied on some makeup for the first time and some lip gloss. Done. I emerged from the bathroom and looked around for Trey. When I found him, he stared at me. So? I asked shyly. You look better than me, he whispered. I laughed and grabbed Trey's wrist. Let's go before they start to think dirty. God only knows the perverted thoughts the guys think. I scrunched my nose up in disgust while Trey burst in laughter and dragged me out of the room. Flashback over. I hadn't realized when tears started to leak from the corner of my eyes. I shakily breathed and wiped them away. Reaching out, I grabbed the dress and the same flats I had worn that day. As fast as I could, I put it all on and got really happy when I saw that it still fit me. I did what I did that same day. I only put on mascara and lip gloss. I placed my hair in a high ponytail and let loose strands fall. You can do this, Jenna, I whispered to myself before glancing at the mirror and smiling sadly. I placed a hand on my baby bump that was barely there and knew what I not only wanted to do, but had to. There was no doubt in my mind that my child would be a boy, seeing as how 99.9% of the time is the firstborn of an alpha a boy. But there was something that I wanted to do that would not only affect me, but Luke and my unborn son. Jen, you ready? Luke asked from outside the room. I wiped away a small tear that had escaped my eye and left the room. I opened the door and was immediately engulfed in a hug. I held back my tears and held Luke tightly. Let's go. Everyone is down there, Luke whispered before placing a kiss on my lips and wrapping his arm around my waist. When we got downstairs, I was taken from Luke and hugged by Randy and Zach. I let out a heavy breath, trying hard to not break down. It'll be all right, Jen. Randy soothed and kissed my head. Jenna? A yell behind me brought me out of Randy and Zach's embrace. Blake? I asked with a puzzled expression as he ran up to me and pulled me into his hard chest. I squeezed my eyes and held as hard as I could onto Blake. Why are you late? I asked. My voice came out muffled, seeing as how my face was pressed into his shirt. I had some pack issues to deal with, he spoke coldly before his voice changed into a gentle one. Don't cry, Jen. I need you to be strong. Trey needs you. He wouldn't want you to be like this, so wipe away those tears and keep that chin up to show how proud you were of Trey. I let out a shaky breath before straightening up and removing any traces of tears from my face. I'm ready. I spoke with confidence and fixed my dress. It was then I decided to look at my surroundings and felt my eyes widen when I saw all of Luke's pack dressed in black, including my pack. I did a once-over at Luke and saw he was wearing black jeans, a black V-neck, and black Vans. As for the guys, they wore similar black clothing besides Blake, who wore light gray. We stand out, I whispered to Blake. He let out a low chuckle and starts to lead me back to Luke, who had his hands clenched. Yeah, we do. But hey, who cares? This is for Trey, not them, he whispers back. I smile and nod before stepping beside Luke and giving a kiss on Blake's cheek. Thanks, I whisper in his ear and stand straight. He smiled widely before making his way to the guys and doing his man hugging. I'll let it go this time because I know you don't like him and you're mine, Luke murmurs before placing a feathery kiss on my mark. I laugh quietly before asking him, when does it start? Now. And in that moment, everyone begins to move to the backyard, where the ceremony will be held. I gasp at the decor as I step into what used to be the backyard, but is now a magical place. Glistening crystal lights hang all around, and in the center is a podium, while beside it is the most beautiful casket I have ever seen. From my angle, I could tell that it was open. The thought makes me tear up, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to see Trey for one last time. The casket is white, and around it are intricate designs of wolves. Wolves howling, wolves laying down, and my personal favorite, wolves cuddling and playing around. I stand still as I take a look around, scanning the huge black canopies that surround the borders of the backyard. The tables are white with black chairs. The canopies have silk on the ends that make it look fancy and simple at the same time. I was about to sit down before Luke shook his head and led me to a different canopy where it was white with black designs similar to Trey's casket. The table is white and the seats match. Luke pulls out a chair and I sit down before he pushes it in and sits in his own, which was right beside mine. I look down at my lap and wait for the ceremony to begin. Near me, I feel the guys sit down and start chatting softly. I have to start it, babe. Luke touches my leg in comfort before kissing me in a soft, passionate kiss. I watch him go up to the podium and tap on the microphone to bring attention to him. Today we are here to remember a hero that deserves to be recognized for he fought with us against the foul hunters. He has changed the lives of many people, especially your Luna. I could hear some murmuring at the word Luna. I hadn't been introduced yet to the entire pack, and much less as the Luna. I'm going to have your Luna come up, but please remain seated, for she isn't in the best mood. My hands start to clam up, and my heart begins to beat erratically. I can do this, I thought to myself and Crystal. Hesitantly, I raise from my seat and make my way to the podium. Before I know it, I reach and Luke wraps his arm around my waist. I present to you my mate, sister of Jenna Summers from the Greenwoods pack and ex-beta of the Whitestone pack, Jenna Summers, your Luna. I smiled shyly and met the eyes of my new pack, who looked shocked and happy. After a few moments, people began to clap and holler Luna. My smile widened, and once the excitement lowered, I waved bye and headed back down to my seat. Now that you have met your Luna, I would like to continue on with our real hero. Trey Sanders, who might have been the youngest but the bravest, will forever be in our hearts, so let's cheer for this hero. Luke yelled. I and everyone in the pack begin to yell Trey in honor and respect. Once again, when everyone settles down, Luke begins with the ones who will speak, and Randy goes first. I shoot Randy a small smile, and he returns it before beginning to speak. I'm Randy, fellow member of the Whitestone pack, and I just want to say that I cared for Trey. He was like a little brother to me, and when he lost his life, I felt broken. The moment Trey lost the battle to survive is the moment he took a piece of my heart with him. I felt shocked and frozen in my seat as I stared at Randy, struggling to keep himself together. Trey was my brother, and it felt like a bullet to the heart when he died. He may not be here physically, but I know that wherever he is, and that is from up there, Randy pointed up, that he is still looking after not only me, but Blake, Zach, Luke, and most of all, Jenna. A tear leaked out, and I didn't bother to wipe it away. So yeah, I love Trey and always will, because he was one heck of a special person, and those people only come to your life rarely. He returned the microphone to a frozen Luke and returned back to his seat. I unfroze and faced Randy. Randy, I whispered. He just shook his head and muttered a "not," now before facing the podium where Zach was called. Hello, my name is Zach, and I am also a fellow member of the Whitestone pack. When I was younger, I used to believe that I had no chance of having someone who cared for me as much as Trey has shown me. He invaded a part of my heart that I never knew could be taken over. But he took it, and when he left, he took it with him. And I don't mind, because you know why? Because he deserves to have a part of my heart. He was the one you go to for advice or to have the time of your life. Now, I'm not being gay, because if you call a guy caring for another guy gay, then you clearly have something wrong with you. Trey, the hero, this is for you, and my eyebrows scrunch up in confusion. I get up from my seat, and my eyes widen as I see Zach pulling out a necklace with a silver wolf on it and gently placing it on Trey's heart. My legs began to shake, and I began to choke back a sob. I sat back down and waited for the next person to go up. Hey, I'm Blake, and I'm Alpha of the Whitestone pack. Trey was like a younger brother to me, and my mission? To protect him with all my heart, and I failed him. I jumped in surprise when Blake slammed his fist on the podium. I could have helped him, but instead I focused on the damn hunters who made me furious. I regret not being by Trey's side. I regret leaving him to fight all those hunters when I clearly knew he wasn't ready. By now, Blake was shaking and his eyes were darkening. I hate myself so much right now, he growled lowly. I quickly stand up and run to Blake, where his grip was tightening on the podium and microphone. I remove it from him and place it down. Come on, Blake, let's go talk. I comfort as I place a hand on his shoulder. No, I want to stay here, he began to shout. Blake, stop this now. You are out of control, I hiss lowly. Slowly, he listens and wraps his arms around me. I sigh in relief and motion for Luke to proceed, and I'll be back. He nods his head in understanding. Now, Blake, please calm down. This is for Trey, remember, and he wouldn't want you blaming yourself for his death, I whisper and hug him tightly. Okay, he breathes heavily and kisses my temple before heading to his seat next to Randy. Randy whispers something to Blake, which makes him nod his head and crack a faint smile. Up next is your Luna, and she'll be speaking a few words. I turn to the podium and breath in. You can do this, Crystal motivates me. I think that over and over before nodding my head and taking Luke's place. I clear my throat and glance at Trey. My throat immediately closes and tears begin to pool. I close my eyes and shut out all the bad memories. My name is Jenna Summers, and I am the mate of Alpha Luke, sister of Alpha Jared from Greenwood's pack, ex-beta of Whitestone pack, and your Luna. Trey was probably the first person to ever make me feel beautiful. Years ago, I felt worthless and pathetic. It got to the point where I had thoughts of killing myself, and then that was the moment I had to take control of my life and leave. Who was I to be told what to do and beat because of the most redundant things? I left, and I couldn't have been any happier when I ran into Blake, Randy, Zach, and Trey. I was given a gift from the moon goddess. By now, everyone was close to tears except for me. I was holding them back, and I was not going to let them escape. I began to train and work hard. Before I knew it, I had not only lost a heck load of weight, but I had proved myself worthy. I was undefeatable, I smirked. That was until I lost someone I loved, someone I cared, and that person was Trey. He will never be replaced because no one that special can come up in my life again. He was my hero. He helped me when I was down. He was there when I would want to quit. He was the one to give me a shoulder to cry on. Sure, I have Blake, Randy, and Zach. Heck, I even have Luke now. But that doesn't mean I'm not wishing Trey was still here beside me. I loved Trey. He was like a young brother to me, and my job was to take care of him that day. I didn't, though. I failed not only him, but all my other brothers. Blake, this isn't your fault. I stared deeply into Blake's glassy eyes and felt like breaking down. It was me. It was my fault. I trained him and knew he needed extra help, but I just had to fucking faint. I was beginning to yell and tears were cascading down my face. I was supposed to make sure he didn't get hurt, and I couldn't even do that. I could have saved him, but I was too late. He could have lived if it weren't for my stupidity to faint or rage. I was blinded by the fury inside me that I forgot what was really important. That day was the worst day of my life. I squeezed my eyes shut as I relived it all. His eyes. His eyes were full of love and pain. Pain that could have been avoided if I had helped him. And as for the love, he was trying to say goodbye. He knew he wouldn't make it. I sobbed out. My voice had long gone from its confidence to a shaky mess. It was my fault. I cried heavily into the microphone. I felt Luke come up and scoop me up into his arms. I continued to weep mournfully as I nuzzled my head into his chest. Luke was about to open his mouth to speak when I got out of his arms and grabbed the microphone again. I breathed in deeply and spoke a bit calmer. I would like you all to know that I am pregnant. A few gasps were let out, and I know this child will be a boy. So in memory of my hero, my little boy will be named Trey McCarter, future alpha of Dark Moon Pack. Luke stared at me in shock and pride. After a few seconds, he spoke up. If you would like to say a few words to Trey, you are now welcome to. As Luke gave instructions on what to do, I made my way to where Blake had his head buried in the table as his shoulders shook. Randy had a few tears in his eyes, and I knew he was trying his best to stay in control. Zach was well. He was almost like me. He was sobbing and muttering something about angels and Trey. I wiped my eyes from any tears and sat down beside Blake. Come here. I whisper softly, and right away, Blake placed me on his lap and cuddled into me while crying silently. I sigh and hold back. We have to be the strong one this time. I speak to Crystal. Crystal mumbles and agree. I brush back Blake's hair and play with his hair to distract him. Don't cry, brother. You need to be strong. I comfortingly speak to Blake as I rub his shoulders. It hurts, he mutters. What hurts? My heart. After Blake stopped crying and Randy managed to control Zach, we decided to finally have our last time with Trey. Ready? Blake asks numbly. I nod my head and grab a hold of his hand. He intertwines our fingers in a friendly way, and both Randy and Zach followed behind us. Luke had gotten everyone to leave and had left us to have our moment before burying Trey. I squeezed Blake's hand tighter as we approached Trey and faced his serene face. I felt a wave of relief that he didn't look painful but peaceful. He looks happy, Zach croaked. I nodded my head with a smile before stepping closer and running my hands through his hair. Hey, buddy. We just wanted to say bye, and I hope you know that we love you so much. We'll miss you a lot. I leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on his forehead. I stayed beside him for a while before moving away so the guys could have a chance to say their byes. Well, I guess this is it. I hope to see you again someday. I sniff sadly while standing by Blake, Randy, and Zach. We love you, we say in unison, and laugh quietly in the end because we sounded ridiculous. Time lapse, Blake's poke. After our goodbyes with Trey, Jenna told us she had to go and be with Luke, while Randy and Zach decided to go play video games to get their mind off of Trey. I, on the other hand, lied about going to the park to hang out, and instead went to track down where the bitch, Carolyn, would be hiding. Yes! I yell in joy as I finally have narrowed it down to the place where Carolyn should be. Quickly, I get up from my seat while grabbing my laptop and slipping on some clothes and shoes. I run down the stairs, and yes, I am still in the pack house. Blake. I sigh in annoyance and follow the call of my name. It soon leads me to the one and only Zach. What do you want? I asked, irritated. Where are you going? He asked while facing the TV where Randy and him killed zombies. Park, I state simply. Why? I groan in frustration. Boredom. When? What? I asked, confused. What kind of question is that? Right now, of course. Okay, go. I roll my eyes and leave him. The moment I get outside, I smile proudly and run to my car. I start it and open up my laptop to check the first location. 3215 Hendricks Avenue, I mumble under my breath. I probably drove about for 40 minutes until I finally found the house. To be honest, I have no idea what Carolyn would want to be doing in a house when she knew she would be getting killed. Oh well then, that's her problem. I gaze at the 2-story house and feel like it has too much of a homey feeling. With hesitation, I park my car and walk up to the door. Here goes nothing, I think, and ring the doorbell. Coming! A yell comes from the other side. Okay then. Oh, hi, Alpha Blake. To what must I owe this visit? An elderly woman smiles. So she is obviously from a family of werewolves, and she knows who I am. Hello. Do you know anyone named Carolyn Sweets? Please, she is my, I pause and think of something quick, adopted sister. And cue the facepalm. Really, Blake? Sister? My wolf retorts. Adopted sister, I whisper. He groans and shuts me out. Oh, sorry, dear, but I have no idea who she is. Anyways, how would she be your sister, seeing as how she has blonde hair? She slapped a hand on her mouth as soon as she said it, but it was too late for that. I thought you didn't know her, I snap. I don't, she lies. Listen here, lady. She is an accomplice, and she worked with the hunters that almost killed my sister. If you do not tell me where she is right now in this instant, I will have you imprisoned, I growl. So I know I'm being a jerk. But can you blame me? The girl she is hoarding is an enemy and someone who fucked with the wrong person. You upstairs, on the right. She shakily points a finger to where I assume is the stairs. I nod my head once and barge in her house. I waste no time to move and dash upstairs and head right to where a room was. I break the door in half as I run into it and look around rapidly. The whole room was colored in beige and the bed was a white color. Looking for me? The bitch purred seductively as I felt a fingertip on my neck. I spun around, grabbed her neck. There in all her glory was Carolyn Sweets wearing a gray mail shirt that reached her mid-thigh. You're coming with me, I growl menacingly. The hell I am. She spits in my face. I growl loudly, and she cowers under my hold on her neck. Removing her spit, I drag her out the house and don't bother to say bye to the old woman as I throw Carolyn's body into the passenger seat of my car and locking the doors. She quickly faints from the impact, and I start to drive back home. I can't wait until Luke and Jenna see this, I smirk. They will freak, and you'll be lucky if they don't want to kill you right away. I speak to an unconscious Carolyn. But hey, maybe it is lucky if they kill you quickly, because I am more than sure that they will torture you first. I glance from the corner of my eye and feel disgust and anger. What am I saying? You should be lucky. I'm not fucking killing you right now. But no, instead, I see myself dragging your ratchet ass back to the pack house for Jenna. Oh God, I just can't wait to see her reaction. I bet she'll be proud of me, and who knows? Maybe she'll let me help her with her torturing, or at least watch. Call me sadist, but you deserve it. Before I know it, I pull up in the driveway, and Carolyn was beginning to wake up. I step out and walk over to the door and open it while throwing her over my shoulder. Hey, let me go, you ass! She shrieks as she pounds her fists against my back. Shut up, I growl, and she obeys but doesn't stop hitting me. The second I step foot in the house, I yell for Jenna and the others. Within a minute, they rush down the stairs and stare at me in shock and surprise. Wow, just wow. Zach is the first one to speak up. Of course he would be. How you doing, bitch? Randy speaks rudely and walks behind me to face Carolyn. Lovely, what the fuck do you want me to say? She retorts in her high-pitched voice. Slap! My eyes widen and I drop Carolyn to the ground to turn to Randy. There he stood with a mad face and shaking as he had just slapped Carolyn. Damn, Zach whistles. Shut it, I snap at him and bend down to see how bad Randy slapped Carolyn. Her right side of her face was tinted in a dark red and her eyes had tears in them. Don't feel bad. She deserves this, I think to myself. She's a girl, my wolf argues. So, she still betrayed her pack and nearly killed Jenna, I argue back. Good point. Well, Jen here is your enemy, and you can have her. Do what you want, but I'd say to kill her, I speak calmly. Jenna stayed frozen, and Luke spoke something into her ear to get her out of her trance before smiling evilly and stepping in front of Carolyn. My pleasure, she continued to smile as she cracked her knuckles. Well, damn! Cat fight! Cat fight! Zach yells excitedly. Everyone glares at him while I look down. Damn it, he stole my line. Jenna's pove. My pleasure. I smile cruelly as I crack my knuckles. Cat fight! Zach yells in excitement, and I turn to glare at him with everyone else besides Blake, who looked down in slight annoyance and embarrassment. Sorry, Zach murmurs, and I roll my eyes before turning back to Carolyn. Good to see you again, whore. Time to settle things once and for all, I growl and grab her from her hair and pull her up. I grab her hair tightly before throwing her across the room and denting the wall. Wait, we're doing this like now? Luke asks, confused. Yes, Luke, I laugh and catch Carolyn's fist right before it swung in my face. Too slow. I smirk and twist it behind her before pushing her away, causing her to fall down. She growled loud enough to have Zach slightly wincing with Randy, while I, Luke, and Blake stare at her with no fear. I will kill you, she shrieks before lunging at me. I remain with an expressionless face and wait until she's close enough to roundhouse kick her away. She falls with a painful grunt onto the floor and twitches in pain. You suck! Zach laughed as he bent over holding his stomach. You dumb! He gasped in his fits of laughter. I stared at him in amusement and cracked a smile. Chill out, Blake spoke with a muffled voice as he tried to control his laughter. He has issues. Randy sang under his breath, and that just caused Luke to burst out in laughter with Randy. Unbeliever? I was cut off by a punch across my face. My face turned to the side, and I felt blood trickling down my lip. The guys had stopped laughing and now growled at Carolyn, who began to smirk proudly. How about that? I can fight, you know, she spoke with her smirk on her caked-up face. You can fight, I spoke with a smirk of my own. She looked at me in a confusion before I continued to speak, but not good enough, and without letting her say anything else, I pounced on her and began to swing punches all over her face and body. Any last words? I asked as I gazed at Carolyn's broken and bruised state. I hate you, she wheezes out before falling limp on the floor. I stood up and wiped blood from my face and lifted my shirt up to wipe my hands. Done, I smiled tiredly. They guys stared at me in awe and shock. Oh my fuck! Zach whined the last word as Randy had slapped the back of his head. No more. He spoke with seriousness and stared intently at him as if daring him to speak again. Whatever, Zach muttered and looked down at his shoes. You did great, Jen. I'm proud to call you my sister. Blake broke the awkwardness and stepped forward to hug me. Thanks. I hugged him tightly before stepping away and getting enveloped in Luke's hug. You are going to be the best Luna ever. Luke smiled sincerely and lifted me in the air while spinning me around. I laughed and then remembered something. So, can you put me down? I still have blood on me, and it's making me uncomfortable having you guys hug me like this. Oh. Luke set me down, and I placed a kiss on his cheek before telling them I'll be back and running upstairs to shower as fast as I could. I changed into some navy jeans and a black off-the-shoulder top after showering. Before I left to go back down, I took a while to stare at my reflection in the mirror. I did it. I smiled sadly. I finally beat the hunters, got rid of Carolyn, have my mate to myself, and have a family who loves me. I whispered to myself as a tear threatened to leak from my eye. You may not be here, Trey, but you know what? I have a good feeling of my future, and I know you will always be protecting me. I look at myself once more in the mirror, and I smile genuinely as the girl on it looks like the person I have become, strong, confident, and loved. And no one will ever mess with me again. Never again. Age 5, gender male. Traits: leader, guides people in the right decision, nice, well-behaved, childish at times. Appearance: medium-length caramel hair and dark brown eyes. Age 3, gender female. Traits: outgoing, friendly, stubborn, easily angered. Appearance: dark chestnut long hair and light brown eyes. Age 1, gender male. Traits: too young but is so far silly and rebellious. Appearance: short black hair and dark brown eyes. 5 years later. Mommy, I hear my 5-year-old son yell for my help as I cook eggs for my family. Yeah, I never would have seen myself in this position years ago, but I'm 3 now, and I can't continue being rebellious. Don't worry, though, I'm still feisty and a badass, but I can't be a bad example for my children, so I had to control myself down a bit. Oh, did you hear, children? Yeah. It'll make sense soon enough. Luke McCarter, you better not be tickling Trey, I yell from where I stood. Sorry! Luke yelled back, and I could hear the laughter of Trey as he came running in the kitchen to hide behind my legs. Mommy, Daddy keeps tickling me. Tell him to stop! He stomps his foot in anger. I roll my eyes and set the table for 5. Eggs, check. Pancakes, check. Syrup, check. Butter, check. Coffee, check. Milk, check. And that was just only a portion of what was on the table. Trey, Juliana, Chase, Luke. I called for all my family. Soon enough, the scurrying of little feet and a thud came running in. I laughed as I saw how Luke tripped on the youngest of all our children, Chase. I helped him up, and once he got up, I couldn't help but admire his perfect features. He noticed my lingering stare and kissed me passionately before pulling away once Trey began to fake gag. I smiled at him and walked over to the little guy. Seeing him made me feel like I had a piece of the other Trey in him. Want some pancakes and eggs? I ask him, and he nods his head. Then be a good boy and help your little brother sit down while I help your sister, okay? He once again nods his head and runs off to pick Chase off the floor. I watch in amusement as he places him on a chair and tell him to stay on, and if he falls off, it's his fault. Little Chase stares at him in confusion and wonder. You see Trey in him, don't you? Luke asked as he stood beside me while wrapping an arm around my waist. I turned to look at him and smiled sadly. Yeah, but it's not bad because at least I have some part of him still, and I forever will. It was quiet until I noticed I had forgotten about Juliana. Come here, sweetie, I cooed as I bent down and Julie raced to my arms. I lifted her and placed a kiss on her forehead. You want to eat too, right? I asked while hugging her close to my body. Food, she murmured into my chest. I laughed and set her down on her high chair. Here you go, Julie. I had handed her bottle full of milk and went to go get Chase on his high chair. How's my baby doing? I cooed and tickled his sides. I was welcomed with gurgles of baby laughter and giggled at the noise. You must be hungry also. Chase stared at me in awe as I prepared his baby formula and handed him his bottle. He immediately began sucking on the poor bottle and placed him on his high chair before sitting down beside Luke. I was dead tired from cooking, cleaning, and caring for the kids, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I stared across the table and felt myself grin from having a family with the man I will always love. I love you. Luke brought me out of my trance. I looked at him and held his hand underneath the table. He intertwined our fingers, and his finger rubbed the same spot where my ring wrapped around my finger. No, I hadn't married Luke, but we both had promise rings, and they were a solemn promise to each other that we will always be there for each other and never lose our feelings for one another. I love you too, I responded with a glistening tear in my eye, because the truth was I couldn't have had been luckier living the life I have. Even with all the ups and downs, my life seemed to finally balance out and everything seemed to look bright for the future. I know that my kids will do wonders to the title of our pack, and you never know, they may make it even better than it already is. As I stare at them, I just imagine who their mates would be and whether or not they would have to live through something like me. Elizabeth's POV. I woke up this morning with the sun shining through the window and onto my face. It's a special day, but unlike most people, I'm not looking forward to it. Today is the day Zach comes back home. I'm not looking forward to this because Zach is my mate, well, technically my ex-mate. He rejected me when he found out that we were mates. Even though he has always been a jerk to me and he is the main person who torments me, I had hoped that maybe I would finally be happy and that the abuse would stop. I was wrong. In fact, the abuse has gotten worse. I guess it's a good thing I've never had any feelings for him, because I don't think I would be able to make it. I'm not going to lie and say that the rejection didn't hurt at all, but it wasn't too bad. Also, my wolf is fine, unlike the other handful of werewolves who have been rejected. I go through my daily routine of cleaning the pack house and doing everyone's chores. I also have to start getting everything ready for Zach's party, since he is finally taking on his role of alpha of the Crescent Falls pack. Once everything is ready, I start making dinner for the pack. As I make dinner, I ask the questions that have haunted me my entire life. Why me? Why do my parents hate me? Why does my pack hate me? Why did I get rejected by my mate, the person who is supposed to love me unconditionally? Well, actually, I'm not surprised that Zach Daniels, my ex-mate and soon-to-be alpha, rejected me. When we were growing up, he would always say that I would be rejected by my mate and that no one would ever love me. I can't believe that when I was younger, I thought that mates were a good thing. I believed the lie that said mates would bring you nothing but happiness. I shouldn't be surprised because nothing in my life has been the way it should be. My parents don't love me, but then again, I don't think they love anyone but themselves. My mate rejected me, and that's pretty much unheard of in the werewolf world. The only thing that is keeping me here is my older brother, Jake. Jake has been taking care of me since we were little, and he has always treated me like an older brother should treat his younger sister. He is very protective of me, and he helps me out whenever he's not busy by sneaking me food and stopping people who try to bully me. I wish I could go live with him instead of in the pack house, but Zach has forbidden it. I still remember the time I tried to run away to Jake's house one night when I was younger and I was being bullied. The punishment that I received for it was one where I still have the scars to remember it by, emotionally and physically. The only other good thing about my life is my wolf, Annabelle. She's like an older sister, mother, friend to me, and other than my brother, she's the only person, or wolf, that I talk to. I'm so glad I ended up with her as my wolf. I've heard stories where the human side and the wolf side can't stand each other, and it causes them to go insane, and then eventually die. "Lizzie, you have to hurry up. Someone is coming," Annabelle says to me. I finish everything I need to do right before I hear the commotion of a bunch of people as they enter the dining room. I see a group of people my age laughing together, and I feel a familiar sting in my heart because I know I will never be able to have that. "What are you still doing in here?" Zach sneers at me. "I was just making sure everything was set for your welcome home party," I mumble, my voice barely above a whisper. Well, you should leave. You're making everyone uncomfortable, Zach says while glaring at me. Yes, Alpha, I say before basically running away. I hear the sound of people laughing at me, but I'm honestly scared for my life. The last time I didn't leave the room fast enough, he almost beat me to death, and my fellow pack members either joined in or they just watched and laughed. I quickly run to my room and close the door. My room is actually the attic, and my bed is just 2 sheets and a pillow. This has been where I've slept ever since I can remember. My parents didn't want me to sleep in the same house as them, and apparently there wasn't enough room at the pack house, so I got the attic. I can hear loud music being played downstairs, and I realize that the party has started. For safety measures, I lock my door and put my dresser in front of it. I shudder as I remember how I almost got raped at one of the pack parties because I forgot to lock my door and barricade it. I quickly change out of my worn clothes and start braiding my hair. Once that's done, I brush my teeth and I try to block out the sounds coming from downstairs. I look out the small window in my room and I see a shooting star. When I was younger, I used to wish that my life would get better, but I've given up on that because I know that that will never happen. Cheer up, Annabelle says to me. How am I supposed to cheer up when my life has been bad since the day I was born? Sometimes I don't understand how she can be so positive all the time. You have reasons to be happy, and you will know them soon, child. Why can't I know now? I ask. She just chuckles before she goes back to the corner of my mind. I know that my situation could be worse, but sometimes I really feel like the moon goddess hates me. You know that's not true, Lizzie. The moon goddess loves all her children. I don't even bother answering my wolf before I crawl into my bed and fall asleep. Ryder's POV. Hide, Ryder. Don't let them see you. My mom yelled at me before she pushed my 5-year-old self into the closet. She tries to move away from me, but I grab her arm and stare at her with wide eyes. Mom, where are you going? I ask before she leaves. Shh, just stay down and don't come out until your dad and uncle get here, she says just as the door bursts open and 5 men step into the room. I quickly pushed myself further in the closet, but I kept the door open just a crack so I could still hear and see what was happening. Would you look at what we got here? The Luna all by herself without her mate to protect her, the biggest man says. What are you doing here, Thomas? My mom says with a glare. I wonder how she knows these people. I don't think I have ever seen them before. I know I would remember a face as hideous as his. Well, I'm just returning a favor for a good friend, he says before he lunges at my mom and starts choking her. My mom tries to hit him and pry his fingers off her throat, but he doesn't budge. I whimper quietly to myself, and I hope that my dad gets here soon. I wish there was something I could do to help her, but I'm too small. All of a sudden, I can see my mom's body growing weaker, and after a while, she stops moving. I hear the guys say something about his debt being paid before he drops my mom onto the ground and leaves the room with the other men following him. Once I hear the front door slam, I quickly run to my mom and start shaking her arms, hoping that she will get up. I feel tears running down my face as I realize that she's not breathing anymore. I hear the front door slam open, and then I hear the sound of feet running up the stairs. My father and uncle quickly walk in the room, but when they see my tear-filled face and my mother's dead body, they stop. My dad's eyes start turning darker until they are completely black, and his face is filled with rage. Daddy, I whimper. I take a hesitant step closer to him and his glare intensifies. This is all your fault. You are a worthless piece of trash, and I hate you, he says, his voice filled with venom. When I wake up, I can feel my heart racing, and my breath is coming out in short pants. I've been having this nightmare since the day it occurred. After my mom's death, my father turned into a heartless monster, and he would beat me and anyone who was disrespecting him. At first, I tried to reason with him, but after a while, I started to resent him, and I started fighting back. He was mistreating the pack and was running it to the ground. On my 15th birthday, I fought him for his alpha title, and I won. But it was not without a price. He killed himself after he lost because his depression finally consumed him. At least now he is with his mate. Mate, a 4-letter word that means so much to me. I want my mate, my wolf wants our mate. I've been to most packs around the world, but I still haven't found her. I want my mate. My wolf, Kadon, growls in my head. Our mate, and we will find her soon, I say, but I'm starting to get worried. Maybe the rumors are true, and I won't have a mate because of how cold-blooded I have become. The only difference between my father and me is that I'm not mistreating my pack. A lot of people probably don't think I want a mate, but the thought of having a mate is the only thing that has kept me relatively sane. The thought of having someone who will love me unconditionally, even with my flaws, is amazing. I can't wait to meet my mate, and my pack can't wait to have their Luna. My beta says that having a mate will help me loosen up. I know I'm not the most pleasant person to be around, but I can't help it. My pack and I didn't get our reputation from always smiling and holding each other's hands while singing songs. My pack has been trained, and even though we aren't always the nicest people, we aren't always killing people just for fun, like some people think. We are smaller than most packs, but we are also stronger, faster, and smarter. Most packs have asked for alliances with our pack, but we like to keep to ourselves. This is another reason why some people think badly of us. They think we are stuck up, but we aren't. We're just like any other werewolf pack. I'm interrupted from my thoughts by a phone call. Once I see who is calling, I growl in frustration. This alpha has called me so many times to tell me how lucky I would be to be an ally with his pack, but I honestly don't care. The alliance wouldn't benefit my pack in any way, especially since their pack is so far away. I try to ignore the phone, but he keeps calling, so I finally answer. What do you want? I growl out. Alpha Ryder, I was just calling to see if you have thought of the proposition I gave you the last time we spoke. I have thought it over, and the answer is still no, I say, already getting annoyed by this pup. Alpha, I really think that you should consider this. It would be a great opportunity for both our packs, he says enthusiastically. Your pack has nothing to offer for me. If this is the only reason you called I start, but he cuts me off. Wait, please! Before you make this decision, will you please come down here and see the pack for yourself? If you do that, I promise I won't bother you anymore. I sigh before saying, fine. I will be there next Thursday. I will stay for 3 days. And if you can't convince me by then to form an alliance with your pack, you need to leave me alone.